All right, everybody, welcome. One thing for sure with our virtual lunch and learns, we are prompt on starting, and we know that we want to make use of all the time that we have. Well, thank you very much. So if you'd please connect your audio and open the chat. And in the chat, if you would please, just if you'll post your access ID so that we can, for our records, record attendance for everyone. Today's presentation will take about 15 minutes, and then we'll have some time for question and answer. It will be recorded, but only the screen share will be shown. All right, so today's topic for our series this year, this semester on global learning is global self-awareness. And our presenter today will focus on these issues, kind of thinking largely about what global learning is, student analysis and engagement interpretation with global systems, enhancing students' understanding of their identity, community, and ethics in an interconnected world. And we'll also present the value rubric that all of this is based on from the American Association of Colleges and Universities. I'll share that in the chat momentarily. For this particular topic that's part of the rubric in the context of global learning, we're looking at global self-awareness and this continuum through which students develop mature and integrated identity, systemic understanding of the interrelationships among themselves, their local community, and the global community, and how that relates to the natural and physical world. Our presenter today is Christine Knapp, who's an associate professor of teaching in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and is also director of Basic French. I will stop sharing and turn this over to Christine, and thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. So I'm just going to share my screen and make sure we're set to go with that. Oh, hang on one second. I don't think I selected share audio, so let me make sure that I do that correctly. Yes, perfect. Share sound. Okay. So before we get started, I'm going to give you some examples of how I've used and integrated getting students to develop their global self-awareness into actual assignments. So the course that I'm going to show you an assignment from is the Paris Study Abroad, and it was also a virtual study abroad course that I taught. And I'll give you some context about the course and the project. And then I hope that this will kind of get us discussing different ways you might be able to incorporate a similar assignment into some of your classes. And so for the class that this video assignment is for, it's basically students learn all about French culture and Paris and France in class, and then they get to experience Paris, France for themselves over 10 days during spring break. And so I'm going to show you a full student sample video for their final project assignment. But their students are asked to complete a video of 5 to 7 minutes. It's a reflective video, and the students present their videos to the class on the last day of class. And I provide students with a list of questions to help guide their learning. And so they have to answer 8 out of 10 questions, not necessarily in the video, but for the whole project. So this is a part of a bigger project. So there's a video component, the students do it first, and then they have a written component where they actually have to in writing answer out 8 out of 10 questions. So the video sort of scaffolds things, and it gets them to start thinking and reflecting about their experience, and then they go into more detail about it with the written answers. And so it's kind of like a hybrid format for the project where there's a written and a video project, and that sort of gives me a chance to give students feedback throughout the process. So when they submit their video and they show it to the class, they get feedback from me, and I can give them further questions to help them analyze things in more detail in their written answers. And that's the idea that it's set up on. And they can also learn from the other videos that they see in class, and they can analyze their experiences based on other videos that they saw in class and include that information in their written answers. So to me, the best way to get you sort of thinking through this and to see what it looks like is to show you an actual example. And so this is an example of a student video submission for this class. And again, just so that I'll show you the full video for this one. It's about 7 minutes long, but then I'll show you some very short parts of other videos just to kind of let you see other ways students have gone with this type of an assignment. So here's the video.
What excited me the most about traveling to Paris was the food, the cheese, the wine, the desserts, all the museums. I think my expectations were beyond realized. I had no idea that it would feel so different coming as an adult and just getting so much more time there. I think I could spend days wandering around the museums. One thing that I was very excited about was being able to see the catacombs. I've always wanted to see them, and I finally did it, and I wasn't expecting to feel the way that I did when we got down there. It was still very cool, and I'm really glad I did it. I really just enjoyed walking around random streets or riding the metro by myself. simulation, I had my eyes peeled and I think I took like 100 Space Invader photos. Being able to actually find street art everywhere on every corner was really awesome. The food was amazing, and I'm really glad that I went on the food tour. If I could go back to Paris for just one day, I think I would want to visit more of the parks, just be able to spend a nice sunny day, having a picnic, or go hiking.
All right, so that was a complete sample student video. So that was a student assignment. And what I tell students when doing this assignment is to think of your video as a trailer to your written answers. And so, they go into a lot more detail with the answers that they submit after the videos. And every video shows how much the travel experience is very different for every single student. And then students get to see that because we share the videos in class. And this assignment really gives students a chance to think critically, but also creatively. In this case, the student did a great job on the video editing, and it was very interested in the art in Paris. And I think that came through in her video. It reflected a lot of the art that side of Paris, but it's a very personal experience, and even students realize that they have this common experience from the class and the trip, but then they translate it into very different ways, and they have different perspectives, and they have different takeaways, and they bring their personalities into the assignment. And so just to kind of show you different variations of this project, and how students have approached it differently in different courses. And I don't give them a sample video. I let them think creatively and how they want to do this and how they want to come up with a video. So a couple of other examples, and let me know if you can still see. I have Louis XIV on my screen, right? Can you see that now? Perfect. So here's just a quick, I'm going to play just like a couple seconds of this video, but for this student, learning about Louis XIV was really relevant. And the last student didn't mention anything about that. So I'll just play this quick couple of seconds here.
Like most, I have learned about King Louis XIV, the Sun King, in my history classes. However, I did not know how one person could play such a big role in making Paris Paris. He had such a huge influence on fashion by forcing France to create their own textile because he banned its import. He had people follow his style from head to toe, whether it was wearing wigs when he began balding or heels because he was too short. Because of his passion for fashion, a lot of creative industries began with his influence. Paris is now known for the luxurious fashion brands like Louis Vuitton, Chanel, or even Dior. King Louis XIV even commissioned the Palais de Versailles. It was built to impress, and you can even tell by looking at the golden gates, the beautiful architectures, or even the gardens. This palace, however, did symbolize the difference between the classes, which eventually led to the rebellion against the aristocrats. This is another important piece of its history. Surprisingly, these were only a few examples of how he played such a significant role in creating what Paris is today. He was my greatest discovery.
So for that student, that was a huge discovery, just Louis XIV. And you'll notice that it says in that student video that this is a virtual study abroad. So I've also done this class as a virtual study abroad during the pandemic. And so for those of you who might be thinking, well, I don't teach study abroad courses, so I might not be able to do this sort of a project. I did it when the students were in Detroit, and the class was changed significantly to become Paris in Detroit. So we made Paris come to Detroit, and I taught. We had virtual tours and so on and so forth. We had care packages that students got delivered to their homes during the pandemic, so they could try some of the food, and it still worked with the same sort of scaffolded video and written final project. And She goes on to talk about the difference in time that she noticed here in this video. But I just kind of want to show you the different variations. So students, this student literally just took a Zoom and recorded herself in Zoom with a PowerPoint. So it doesn't have to be all the video editing. Some students are more comfortable with that than others. And here she talks about similarities and differences. So she brought this back to the local level in Detroit and talks a bit about architecture.
So next, I'm going to talk about the similarities and differences I was able to spot between Detroit and Paris. So some similarities, I think, is kind of like the urban planning aspect of the cities. So here you can see this is like the center of Paris where the Arc de Triomphe is, and you can see these wide streets and boulevards like all stemming out from the center. And I think that's kind of something that we can also see in Detroit. I know when we went on the tour of Detroit, our tour guide talked a lot about the kind of similarities and how there was a French influence when trying to plan out the city of Detroit. And so in this picture, I think you can also see like that kind of like wide street boulevard type of urban planning. Another thing that I saw that was similar between the two cities was the architecture. I know, once again, when we were on our tour of Detroit, our tour guide pointed out a lot of buildings that had like similar influences and French influences, which kind of led to a similar type of architecture between the two cities. So
in this case, I would have told the student to go into more detail, to make sure that she goes into more detail in her written answers about the types of similarities and which architects or things like that, that she can really develop her answer there and further analyze the comparisons that she's making between Detroit and Paris and France. Here's another student video. I won't play this one at all, but this student actually made what she called a Retta emoji. So the student's name was Moretta, shortened was Retta, and she made her own little avatar character to kind of walk through their video with her. And this was a mature student who was initially really afraid about a video project that did an amazing job with her video. Here she's talking about the stereotypes and how she learned that those stereotypes are not accurate through the course and the virtual. These were the last two videos plus this one were part of the virtual study abroad experience. And then this student took a different take on it. She used Prezi. She presented a Prezi, and we'll play just a quick clip of it to talk about different cultural differences that she noticed.
My trip to Paris this semester taught me much about Parisian culture, but it also helped me put into greater perspective my own culture in Metro Detroit. 3 things that stand out to me most as lessons learned are the idea of a silent culture, the differences in dining experiences in Detroit and in Paris, and the size of the things Detroiters and Parisians seem to value most in life. Now that I've had this virtual study abroad experience, I've taken a step back and analyzed the way I perceive tourists I encounter in Detroit. It made me think about all the times I've gotten impatient with someone, like interrupting me in casual conversation, cutting me off in traffic, or just doing something else that seems culturally offensive to me. Things are so different in other countries, and a lot of the culture we have in Detroit today is socially constructed rather than formally taught. I have to remind myself that not everything I feel, quote unquote, goes without saying does so for everyone else. Not all aspects of Detroit's culture can be learned by reading about it in textbooks. The same thing goes for Paris. In Detroit, we're expected to tip after a meal while dining out. For the most part, we're allowed to decide how much we want.
So I'll just kind of stop that video there, but you get a sense, just the variation, and students really have shown through the videos and then further in detail with their written answers how they've grown and learned different aspects through their class experience. And most of the students find the final project to be a meaningful and relevant assignment. Here's another example where the student kind of did it more like a vlog, where she was, instead of speaking, she just kind of typed out her answers to some of the questions. And again, the students don't have to answer all the questions in the videos. They're intended to just kind of touch on some of the questions as a starting point before they go into their written answers. So just a different way, different take on it, where the student brought the sounds of Paris back to the classroom. This is just another student who literally, and I won't go through this video, but literally took the questions verbatim and then just answered them with some photos from the trip. And here, I think he's talking about the dining experience and how that was a cultural kind of shift for him to get used to the longer dining experience and so on. So I'll stop the share there. And I want to get a chance to have people sort of go through and talk about maybe some ideas that you might have or some questions that you might have for me in terms of logistics or anything related to implementation of a similar type of assignment. And I hope this sort of sparks some ideas for you in your classes.
If you prefer, you can post the your questions in the chat, and I'll share those with everyone.
Can I ask just a question? Like, how long is just a semester class, or how much time is given for the project? 10 weeks, 2 weeks, 4 weeks?
So they know about the project at the beginning of the semester. It's a full semester class that we have. So they typically start working on the reflective project after we get back from Paris. We get back at the end of end of March, and then they have to submit their final videos for the last class. So they have about a month to work on it, I would say, and that gives them plenty of time. But they know about it ahead of time, and they know before we go to Paris, I give them the assignment instructions so that they can prepare and have, think about maybe videos or photos that they might want to include in a video project and kind of think ahead of time.
So you thought about different projects for different group of students, or it's just the whole class working on 4 different problems or projects?
So the whole class has, each individual student submits a final project. And so they have a video that they submit and written answers that accompany their final project that go into more detail than what they present in their video. And their videos are presented in class on the last day of class. And then after the last day of class and after I give them feedback, then they work on their written answers and making those more specific to submit those.
Yeah, I think it's a very powerful technique. I like it. Thank you.
I have
You're
a
welcome.
question.
Go ahead.
I really like this, but I'm wondering about how would you make this flexible for a student with a disability, say maybe a student who is has sight problems or is deaf or a student who is blind. I'm wondering how this could be they could be given choices. What kind of choices could they be given to create the same kind of assignment?
I haven't encountered that with any of my students, but just kind of thinking out loud, I would be happy to try to work with individual students to make accommodations, whether that meant maybe doing it more in terms of like a PowerPoint presentation or something.
Sure,
But
I
I
understand. Right.
that there
I
would
mean,
be
I know
ways.
that takes some thought, and it would take actually communicating with the individual student. But I can because I am in special ed, I'm thinking about ways that this could be done. So I love this. I really do. And yeah.
And I wonder if maybe in that case, the student could work with another student as well, and maybe have an assignment where they could work on it together in some way to make it so that the one student could help with maybe the visual aspect, and they could learn from each other in that sense and try to put something together. Maybe that would be a way that I would be able to accommodate that. But again, depending on the comfort level of that student, because the student, maybe visual impairment, it could be more auditory, right? But then if you had a student who was also you know, auditorily impaired, then they could type things out and read them, and I could have captions when showing them in class, those sort of things. So I think there would be ways to think through it, but I honestly haven't thought through it in detail because I've never encountered a situation where there was an accommodation or a student who had any kind of similar request.
Of course, and I didn't mean to, I guess I kind of framed that question awkwardly, but I get that I'm just so in awe of the whole thing, and I'm thinking of ways that this could be, this could be presented to individuals with disabilities. This is just so great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I guess to share what is a wonderful question and also good answer, very good answer. I think this really, if we choose the group with people with some disabilities, not all of them in a group, although it's possible. I know people with visual impairments, like blind or not semi-blind, color, whatever. They can think much better, I would say, without any hesitation than us, but then quote unquote normal person, because now they have a lot of imagination, as you guys said, so they can describe the tour from their mind that could be transcribed by the fellow other student onto the PowerPoint and read it back. And then the same thing with dumb or deaf visual, and I'm sorry, the hearing or the speaking. They can also contribute a lot. So I think it really opens up new doors for learning, actually. So I think I really like that aspect. So they call Society for Alternative Learners, SAL. So there's a whole another school I was involved with. SAL, Society of Alternative Learners. So it's really difficult to ask them. You can ask them what they want and how they want to participate in the class, and they'll give excellent ideas that we cannot imagine. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that there would be a lot of possibilities for sure. And I want to be mindful of time. I know we only have like 1 more minute, so I'm hoping to sort of spark some ideas. But I'm more than willing to meet or talk with any of you offline in more detail about rubrics or assignment instructions. So feel free to reach out to me about any of this or any thoughts you might have for your own classes that you're kind of thinking through out loud to implement.
I'm just going to say this one thing. In one of the classes I teach, which is a philosophy of disability, and I'm teaching it now, we go through the history of disability, not only in the United States, but it also covers history across the world. And there are some virtual museums that they can go into and look at all kind of artifacts of wheelchairs and all of that. And I can see where this would be just a fantastic assignment for my students in this course. Thank you again.
You're welcome. And I know in Paris, when we're there are accommodations for students with disabilities or people with disabilities in most of the major museums. So even if a student, had a disability and was going on the trip, there would be ways, I think, for them to still fully experience Paris.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. I will be sending out these resources to everyone after our session, specifically for these resources on global learning, and then I've also posted in the chat the rubric for this particular topic. And thank you again to Christine for presenting today. I will stay on for a little bit and keep the meeting running if anybody has any additional questions for Christine. But thank you so much for everybody's time and for joining us today.
Christine, one of my students came up yesterday after class and was super excited because she was She said she got into your class. She's never studied abroad, spent time abroad, and she's super, super excited. So, yeah.
Good to know. Good to know there'll be some enthusiasm for the group going in the winter semester. But this class, I mean, in another reflective video that I didn't show, the student, admitted that they had never traveled abroad before. And then that same student later on this past summer ended up in Africa for a whole month. And so it is a life-changing experience where students really notice their growth. And I think this project assignment is kind of part of that. And it's making them realize it because I see it as, faculty member, but I don't think the students always see it. So having a reflective component, I think is important for that class.
Yeah.
But thank you for sending a student my way for that class.
My pleasure. Bye.
It was making me remember my own study abroad in Normandy, and then I got to spend my 23rd birthday in Paris. So, yeah, look forward to going back sometime soon.
There's a high impact.
Yeah,
even if
definitely.
It's just a 10-day study abroad. Most students have attended graduation, and they tell me that was the highlight of their time at Wayne State. So it's worth it. Even though I don't get a spring break because we're in Paris.
Right.
Hey, Christine. Oh, sorry.
I just want to say I'm an engineering professor. I taught at Kettering University, GMI. So we have a required study abroad. And I happened to teach in Germany for 10 years, 3 months each during my off term. And we didn't do too many study abroad experiences as an assignment, but students basically shared their experiences with other student clubs, but not as an assignment. And although I gave that ideas to do that as an assignment, but it didn't fit into many classes, except maybe liberal studies. They might have done it. I'm not aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have tons and tons of videos. It's a great experience. So I taught in different other countries too, New Zealand, Brazil, so I'm very lucky. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, good to know that there's someone else who's interested in study abroad at Wayne, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually in Wayne State, so I teach at Wayne State right now after return.
Right.
Christine,
Thanks very
I
much.
just wanted to say I'm just so sorry that you can't have a spring break, and oh my God, what a horrible place to spend it in Paris. I feel so badly for you.
Well, it's a struggle though because my kids are off school during spring break.
Yes,
So
I
You're the
understand.
same. Yeah.
That's part of it. It's like
Yes, right. Yeah.
And it would be nice to have a little bit of a break in some way.
And it is work too. It's not like freedom to roam, right? You're like
it's
responsible for a bunch of people.
Yeah, and you got all the students. Yes.
Yeah. Praying that nobody does anything crazy.
Right. All right. Thank you so much.
Hey, you're very welcome. Anytime. Corey, did you have something else?
Yeah, I mean, I think I know about this assignment somewhat just from our own talks, but I had to come in here late because of the previous meeting I was in. So I was wondering if you're going to share your slides and things. Did you plan to do that?
I didn't share the slides. I didn't have any slides. I was just showing videos. So
okay.
We had some slides just with the rubrics and talking a little bit as an intro, but he's going to share those.
Okay.
As far as the student videos, I'm a little bit hesitant to share them publicly.
Yeah,
they are on YouTube, so they are publicly available, but I'd rather not just send them out all in an email.
No, I'm just more interested in seeing, how you had gone about that. Yeah, we can also talk, but yeah.
Yeah, we can talk in the department at some point for sure.
All right.
Christine, would you be willing to share maybe the assignment instructions, just kind of the parameters of that, and then I can send that out to the group? Is that something that you might be willing to share?
Yeah, I can send
or something like it.
I can send you there've been different variations, but I can put something together to send to you. Because for sure.
Yeah, what I can suggest would be maybe 1 or 2 slides with 5 to 6 bullets of what you exactly, like a summary of what you told. So you don't have to exactly put the videos, at least for me. Just ideas that you came with when giving this talk. like bullet items. I think that'll also help. So I do a lot of video teaching. I'm sorry, showing the videos for the engineering classes. We have to show it because we can't take them to industry. In the whole world, UK, in Australia, we have so many industries, automotive and other industries. So we have to show those. But your ideas, like a bullet items, that helps in pedagogical thinking, and then I think that'll help probably. So
Yeah, and I agree. It was just that the time is pretty limited, right? We only had 30 minutes, so I didn't want to get lost in the PowerPoint. To me, the most important part was to show you kind of the student work so that you can kind of think through how, what that might look in your classes. But yeah, I agree if I had had a full hour for sure.
thank you very much. We got to go now. So
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your time. Are there any more questions for Christine?
thank you,
All
sir,
right.
for organizing. It's very good lecture. Thanks for doing that.